In today's deep dive, tour reflection, this is 30-minute music marketing. Cue title sequence.
30-minute music marketing for musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Sheldon, and this is 30-Minute Music Marketing, the show for DIY artists and independent musicians who want to get better at marketing their music. Thanks very much for watching this episode, if you're watching it on the YouTubes, or indeed, if you're listening to this as a podcast. Thank you for listening from wherever you get your podcasts from. Could be Anchor, could be iTunes.
Spotify.
In fact, funny you should say Spotify. Spotify is our biggest audience listening. I've looked at the stats.
Oh, I would be curious to share that information.
So hello to everyone who's listening on Spotify. Hello to you. I'm whispering in your ears right now. How is that for you? So this is our deep dive, which isn't really directly related to marketing. It's where you and me talk about some aspect of the music industry that's pertinent to DIY and sort of practicing and performing musicians. And I'm in a band, and my band has just finished our spring tour. It's only 7 dates. Now, I know some of you are out there thinking, oh, 7 dates, I do that in 2 weeks. But, you know, all the members of the band work, and we've got to fit in our day jobs. We only gig at the weekend. So we've finished our spring tour. We'll be doing our summer and our winter tours later in the year. And as we've said in a previous episode of 30-Minute Music Marketing, in order to learn, in order to progress, you have to occasionally reflect back over what you've just done in order to try and make sense of what's happened and maybe adapt and improve. So I thought I'd do a little bit of that reflection within this particular deep dive episode. So obviously you're not on tour with me at the moment. So you feel free to ask questions on behalf of
the audience.
Now, in terms of the 7 dates of the tour that we've done, the capacities of the venues that we've done are 200 cap to 500 cap, just to give you a flavour of some of the venues that we're doing. I think out of the 3 tours that we do in a year, the spring tour is probably the smallest in terms of all the venues.
If you're going on the basis of
that we're visiting,
of the size of the venue, then I would say that the other gigs that I've assisted them with have certainly been bigger than, say, a 500 cap.
So, you know,
we
warm ourselves, we bring ourselves up into larger capacity venues throughout the year. I think the largest cap venue in our summer tour is 1100. Not saying that we sell 1100, but that's the full cap of the theatre.
Which one's that?
Blackpool Grand.
Oh yeah, right. It's a nice place, nice venue.
It is a lovely venue. So the first point of reflection. So out of 7 venues, we've been able to sell out 3 of those, which is good, and 2 of those venues, whilst we've played them before, we've never been able to sell them out.
So which venues were those?
We sold out a local venue, which is the Citadel in St Helens. We sold out the Live Rooms in Chester, which is the 500 cap one.
Okay.
And we sold out one of the rooms of the O2 Academy in Birmingham.
Right, okay.
So for us, as a band that's been going for 12 years, and as a band that's been in some of these venues for several years now, it's, you know, the mantra is always for me, slow and steady wins the race. You're not necessarily out to be like a firework and be incredibly popular by doing promotional activities and marketing that's only going to appeal to a small, maybe a large number of people for a small amount of time. Ours has always been slow and steady wins the race, and over a period of time, cumulatively increase your audience year on year. And sometimes for us, because we don't maybe gig as often as some bands do, we're not even able to visit the same venues year on year. So sometimes we're only able to visit, in terms of frequency of venues, once every 2 years. In fact, one of the smallest venue that we played on this tour. The last time we played there was 2009.
So it's like 10 years ago.
Nearly 10 years ago. So trying to build up a following when you only play somewhere once every 9 years is quite difficult. But
wasn't that the gig that was the furthest away, though?
It was the furthest away, and we sort of only went back there to have to reacquaint ourselves with the owners.
Just out of curiosity, was the attendance of this gig the same, less or more than the last time you played?
More.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So
even with an absence?
With an absence of 9 years, we were able to increase our attendance. So I think for us, and the one takeaway point that I'd try and stress to everyone out there is that don't worry too much about trying to get as many people in as possible just for one event. The idea is that have a fantastic show, make sure your marketing is great, and if your marketing's great and your product is great, that cumulatively you can still build and continue to build year on year. Don't worry too much about being a flash in the pan. The thing that I always say is that if you're an overnight success, that's often accompanied by instant obscurity. Shortly after.
Like any of those popular TV
talent shows.
Yes, that's the words I was looking for.
Yes, very much so.
So you put here in the few brief notes for today is that you say that people don't like change. What do you mean?
Right. Well, it's funny this because, strangely enough, me writing these notes, I read something online from which was a fact from Eventbrite. And I forget the full context of the article. What they were saying, 82% of people that they surveyed didn't necessarily mind where where a concert or event was held. As long as they can attend to it, that'd be fine. The one thing that I find from my own personal experience is that if people are attending one particular venue and are regularly attending that venue, if you change the event and move it to another venue elsewhere in the town, they don't necessarily like that. People like returning back to something that's familiar and that they know. As soon as you try and change that and take it somewhere else, you're then giving them, even though you're the same, you're being presented in a venue, in an atmosphere that is unknown to them. And it should just be a case of uprooting the show and taking it somewhere else. But what I found from my own experience, not only in this tour, because this has happened because we've changed venue in two of the towns that we've played, but on previous occasions, is that people don't like uncertainty. People know what they like, and if they like somewhere, trying to get them to move somewhere else can be a difficult thing. Even
if you're trying to say upgrade the venue that you're trying to, the gig experience.
Yeah. So one of the venues that we're playing, we moved it from a smaller venue that was basically too small for the band. We were selling it out far too quickly, and we moved it to a much larger venue, and we thought that in turn would result in a much larger increase in the number of people attending. And first time round, there was an increase, but it wasn't the increase. It wasn't as large an increase as we actually thought it would be. Now, what I'm hoping is that now that we've played there, now that the people who attended are fine with the experience, and we had lots of feedback from people saying, "Oh, much preferred it here, much more space, much more comfortable." Plus, as well, if I've got footage of the gig where I'm showing the people at home, look at all these hundreds of people in the audience, this place is fine. I'm pretty much predicting that when we return back there next year, we will have again a significant increase in the number of people attending, because it's no longer an unknown quantity. It's something that they can settle into. Also, as well, we in terms of the quality of the venue, one of the venues that we played, I did notice when I was doing my marketing, trying to raise awareness about the event, some people chatting and saying, "Oh, I don't like it there." They were talking about sticky floors. Everyone's been to a venue
where you sink into the carpet.
When the venues, the carpets or the floors are a little bit sticky and maybe not as clean and hygienic as possible. And a couple of people said, "I like them, but I won't go and see them there." So I think it's fair to say that the quality of the venue does matter. And again, if you're a gigging musician, that always isn't, something that you can potentially do anything about. But it's something to bear in mind in terms of customer experience, the quality of the time that people have at a gig or a show, that can sometimes be impacted upon the quality of the venue. A slight transition there.
Dog needed to go out.
These things happen, in the theatre of conflict. These occasional difficulties surface.
So, going to the last point that you put for today, you're talking about venues and marketing.
Venues and marketing, and the quality of marketing done by some venues. Now, this might not be known by a lot of people if you're a DIY musician or you're an independent artist, but the majority of money that venues make from live music derives from the sale of alcohol. In terms of the room hire, they'll cover the costs on the room hire, but really they won't make too much money from that. They're making money from beer sales behind the bar. So, if you basically, the entertainment that is on at a venue each and every night is really, it's just a sideshow in order to get people in and get spending behind the bar. So you'd think that the venue would do its utmost in terms of marketing to get people into the venue in order to spend money behind the bar. And when you think about it, event promotion, it's a three-pronged fork. You've got the promoter who's promoting the show, you've got the venue who's putting on the show, and you've got the artists sort of playing there. So there's potentially three parties who all have their own roles and responsibilities in trying to get people to that show. And obviously the artist will do their utmost, as will potentially the promoter as well. But I am surprised, and I continue to be surprised by the number of venues, and I'm not going to name names, who really don't do anything, if at all, to actually help promote the show. There's some venues who will maybe tweet and do a Facebook post and create a Facebook event when your show goes on sale. They'll do something again the week of the show, and that's it. And you think, really, that's just not enough. If you're depending for your income on getting, the UK terminology is bums on seats, and you don't do anything as part of your part of the contract in order to do that, then what on earth are you doing? Now, thankfully, some of the venues that we play, my band plays a lot of theatres, and theatres are great. They've got brochures, they've got allocated budgets.
I have seen a lot of the catalogue, so to speak, in the other venues. And
programmes, and they're really hot. A lot of the places that we play will, they've got dedicated marketing departments. Maybe this is the thing, and the people in marketing will say, right, you're playing here in a couple of months. Can you record a little video? Doesn't have to be anything major. Do it on your phone. And they will put it on their YouTube channel. They'll post it several times on their socials, and they're hot and they're on it. And we tend to follow the Twitter and the Facebook pages of the majority of venues that we play, and we can see on a day-to-day basis how actively some venues promote the shows, and we can also see how poor some of the venues are that we play that don't. And for the life of me, I think, if you actually did more in terms of your side of the bargain, you'd get more people in. You'd make more money. I don't.
Out of the 7 dates that you played, so that's 7 venues, how many of them...
I'm not going to grass anyone up.
Go on. Not mentioning names,
Not mentioning names.
How many venues did you see doing zero marketing?
Quite a...
What, over half?
No, I won't necessarily say over half. But a good few, and it's like, if you had, let's use the analogy of a shop. You've got a shop, and you really need to make customers and the general public aware of the goods that are for sale in your shop. So you need to get people to come into your shop and buy the goods, work on the analogy of tickets. And if you don't do that, you're relying on the people who make the goods to advertise those goods on your...
For you to sell.
For you to... And it's like, you wouldn't do that. If you were a shop, you'd say, come and have a look. Again, let's use the supermarket analogy. Supermarkets run, massive adverts, TV, print, probably loads of digital as well, saying, look, this is what we've got on special offer this week. You know, we've got, here's the fresh fruit offers this week, massive offers on all cleaning products this week, and that's it. But the majority of venues, they'll just
rely on the bands.
Rely on the bands themselves to do the majority of the work, and it's I find it very, very strange in this day and age when potentially marketing through social channels and other digital media, YouTube, etc. It's easier than it's ever been before.
I am surprised that a lot of the venues, looking at their websites, they don't have much in the way of multimedia content. I mean, would you be, if they, so say for example, use some mobile footage of your band to use that as an advert for a gig for you playing there next year? Would you say, oh no, you can't do that because you've taken video footage? Or would you say, okay, they've done something to capture some, or would you rather just them request it from you and then?
Well, the thing is, I work for a gig promoter, and what I'm constantly doing is I'm constantly asking the bands and trying to independently source footage and images of these people, so I can push them out on social media and use them in digital ad campaigns. And again, the more times you remind, they say in terms of marketing that somebody needs to see or be touched by something at least 7 times. Seven times used to be the old standard. They now say it's up to 12 times.
Right.
So if you just post something once when the gig's on sale and once when it's like the day before the gig, no one's gonna know their end. So the onus is left completely and utterly up to the band, which I will take those weights and I will carry them. But it would be easier if that load was shared by many parties. And I've even sent out videos to some venues, both recently and in the past, saying, "Oh, this is some great footage. If you put this on your social channels, I'm sure it will increase awareness of our forthcoming event." Did they post it most of the time? Yeah. Great, cheers, thanks for that.
I do find it odd,
It's odd. It's very odd. It's a terrible way to run a business.
When I see so many posts about, support your local band at your local venue, but the local venue don't
actually go out of their way to help themselves.
Or anyone else.
Yeah, so that was just some modest reflections from a
7-day tour.
Short tour. So our next tour starts in about 3 weeks' time. Well, probably a little later if you're watching this, maybe 2.
So, in terms of, will you do a tour diary?
Oh, what would you want from it? Do you want a tour diary?
I think you should do a tour diary. Show the
what
people.
What would I talk about? See, the thing is, a tour diary is very much,
But you've got your new van now, so it's going to be a lot more people in one with a bit more space. I don't know. I think it would
well,
be...
in fact, you're going to be accompanying me on my summer tour.
Do you want me to help you with the tour diary? I think it would be good to show people what it's like. You've given yourself a job there. Yeah, I have.
Ha 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 ha.
So anyway, so I think, is that everything for today's deep dive?
That's round about it. If there's something, any questions that maybe in terms of you as a gigging musician and would like a little bit of help regarding maybe the marketing of some of your shows, maybe put a question down below, and we'll see if we can answer that in a future episode.
Please write what your feedback, your experience of gigs. Have you encountered the similar problems?
Yes, in terms of the venues that you play, how do you find the venues and the promoters? How do you find their marketing? Have you done better? Do you do all the marketing yourselves? Do you have experiences with good promoters and good venues? Let us know.
Do they know what a spec sheet is?
Right, everyone. Thanks very much for watching and or listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on the YouTube. Hit the bell.
Smash that like button.
Whatever that means. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.